G'day and welcome to episode 21 of Travel Pointers, the podcast for Australian frequent flyers. It's the 3rd of November 2025 and I'm Matt Graham, the editor of AFF.
And I'm Wilson McTaggart, a writer at AFF and AFF admin.
Sorry that we didn't get time to record a second episode last month, but we're back with you today for a bumper episode. And coming up, what makes a great airport? We'll talk about our favourite airports around Australia and the world, why they're our favourites, and some of the best features of different airports that you might not have even known existed. But first, some of the news headlines from the past month or so. And firstly, if you're collecting Velocity frequent flyer points and you want to use them to travel overseas, your options just became a bit less. Velocity members, since a few months ago, can no longer use points to book United long-haul business class. That includes on all of the routes from Australia or New Zealand to the US, but also pretty much any United long-haul business class flights. Singapore Airlines is also playing games with the availability it is releasing to Velocity members on the routes between Sydney, Melbourne, Perth and Singapore. And so the availability of business class rewards on those routes is now substantially reduced as well. You can finally earn Qantas points and status credits now on Oman Air, which joined Oneworld in July. All fare classes on Oman Air flights are eligible to earn, albeit at the lower Qantas frequent flyer partner rates. Jetstar is moving to Terminal 2 at Singapore Changi Airport, and I'm sure we're going to talk more about Singapore Airport in the next section. We'll talk about the world's best airports. Speaking of Singapore as well, Singapore Airlines has just adjusted its award charts for KrisFlyer redemptions. We talked about that a few episodes ago. That change came in on the 1st of November, and most of those adjustments, I guess you could say, have been in the upward direction, although there's one or two exceptions. And Qantas launched a promotion last month that lets you earn up to 110 status credits on the ground. You need to register for this promotion by the 31st of October, which was last week. But hopefully, if you've been reading AFF or paying attention, you will have seen the promo and registered already. You have until the 31st of December to basically complete the activities which you would need to do to earn those status credits. And how it works is there is 8 different categories. And for each of those 8 categories that you earn at least 1,000 Qantas points on the ground between the 1st of October and the 31st of December, you'll get either 10 or 20 status credits, and you can complete that in 1 or 8 or some of the categories. And you basically just get the status credits for each category that you complete.
So, Matt, we obviously spend a fair bit of time in airports traveling around the world, but what do you think makes an airport good?
Well, I love an airport that embraces the city or the country where it's located. If you get into an airport in a new country for the first time and it feels like you're in a new country, I'm thinking of, like when you arrive in some of the airports in New Zealand, for example, and there's like, it really embraces like the Maori culture, and there's like music playing. Or I think there's one airport in New Zealand, is it Christchurch, where you walk through the air bridge and there's like a picture of sheep and there's like sheep sounds playing in the air bridge, just that kind of thing. It's cool. I love an airport as well that has like good amenities. Preferably it would be a silent airport, so not one where it's constant barrage of announcements which are usually not relevant to you. Easy public transport connections to and from the city as well is really great. Melbourne would be great if there's an airport train. That would be the best case. Good lounge options as well, either airline lounge options or third-party options. I do also I don't love bus gates. So if the airport is overly reliant on bus gates, Frankfurt, that would be not ideal.
You seem a bit sick here.
Mainly, I think what makes an airport, what takes it from good to being great, though, is that everything is easy and it just works every time consistently, which is easier said than done. What about you, Wilson? What do you like in an airport?
I mean, apart from what you've just said, I think I agree with like everything that you've just mentioned. I do really, I guess, require now good Wi-Fi, which I think is such an important amenity nowadays. And I really struggle if an airport doesn't have good internet. First world problem, I know.
And can I just add to that? It also should have internet that doesn't require you to get an SMS code to your phone in order to log in a country where your Australian SIM card is not receiving SMS codes. I'm thinking of places like Tajikistan. Not
Yeah.
okay, a bit niche, but like not a great experience.
Roadblocks to getting like basic things, what I consider basic things, like makes detracts from an experience in an airport, that's for sure. Good access to water, again, a little bit niche, but like making sure there's heaps of like water fountains around. And also I really love if there's a lot of natural light or like really large windows. I don't want to feel like I'm in a basement or just like stuck inside a very, very boring room. I think design it does play a large factor with how good an airport experience is.
Yeah, and kind of relating to that, and also the first thing that I mentioned, embracing the place where you are in an airport that's in a warm environment. Either it should have good air conditioning, or even better, it would have the option of an outdoor terrace, like in the shade, but outdoors, where you can kind of sit outside and enjoy the warmth before you get on your flight back to probably somewhere a lot colder, and just enjoy the sunlight, enjoy the warmth. And even in somewhere like Fiji, for example, I like that you walk outside to the plane. They probably did that to save on air conditioning costs, but it's kind of a nice way to start or end a holiday in Fiji.
Yeah, I was thinking of like Honolulu, the very open air terminal. I don't actually like the airport. I think it's not a very good airport, but I like that it kind of fits the vibe of the place, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So if you're listening to this, you're probably either nodding your head in agreement or shaking your head in disagreement, or you're probably thinking, "Oh, like why didn't they mention this feature?" Have a think about, because we're going to talk about our favorite airports. But before we do, just have a think about what's your favorite airport in Australia or overseas, and why is it your favorite airport? Wilson, in Australia, mine would be, okay, I'm a little bit biased. It is my home airport, but Canberra, CBR. It is, though, a great airport, and it kind of everything just works. I don't think I've waited more than 2 minutes at security at Canberra Airport ever. The lounges are nice. The terminal is actually quite nice. It's bigger. The airport is bigger than it needs to be, so there's lots of space. It's just easy. It works. It probably helps that it's the airport that all the politicians use, so they seem to have made it quite nice.
They invest in those facilities for some reason. We're not sure why.
But it's a really lovely airport, actually, and it makes it even easier to leave Canberra. Sorry, Canberra.
Yeah, I haven't actually flown out of Canberra, so I haven't had the joy of leaving Canberra yet. To be honest, I'm not a huge fan of pretty much all. I can't think of like an Australian airport that like really speaks to me, but I do love how convenient Sydney Airport is to get to. Like the train from the CBD is 15 minutes. And it's very straightforward. It takes you right to a station there. I do love the big windows by the main food court as well, and the selection of lounges in Sydney Airport. While I obviously it's not applicable to everyone, but it is a good selection, and I think there are some quite decent spaces as well to enjoy before your flight. But I do find that overseas, they generally there are some much better airports.
Yeah. I do love the international lounges, especially in Sydney Airport. There's a large variety. Some of them are really very good. There's even the Plaza Premium Arrivals Lounge, which you can get in with Priority Pass. So if you or an Amex Platinum card, I think. So if you're coming off a long haul international flight, there's a place you can go to just get some breakfast, sit down with some free Wi-Fi, and a comfortable place to sit and get whatever you need to get done. I'm surprised, Wilson, you didn't say your favorite Australian airport is your home airport, Newcastle.
Well, Newcastle, they did just finish the new terminal, which is actually exciting, and they just launched the first flight to Bali took off pretty recently as well, which is cool. But it does feel a bit like a shack. And it's very much secondary to the RAF base there, which is cool for some plane spotting. You get to see the F-35s take off, but there is often quite a long walk out to the plane, which is sometimes not as fun.
Yeah. What's your favorite lounge at Newcastle Airport?
Qantas, are you listening? Where we can only dream.
But yes, overseas there are some really like truly exceptional airports. Asia especially, like what would your favorite be?
I was thinking about this for a while. I It's a toss up for me between Hong Kong and Singapore. Singapore airport has so many great things, but I love Hong Kong. A bit of nostalgia, I guess. I remember flying via Hong Kong a bit with my family, and the Sky Bridge on connecting the satellite terminal is probably the one of the best places to plane spot. It's just cool. The selection of lounges again is also a really lovely factor. Cathay do lounges very very well, and also there's quite convenient transport options to and from Hong Kong. But also the Hong Kong, so it's like a monorail within the terminal as well, makes it easy to get around. It's just it does things well.
I think one of the best features, yeah, other than the Cathay Pacific lounges of Hong Kong Airport, is the in-town check-in.
True. I haven't actually used that before because they've only really reopened in the last couple of years post COVID. But it's again a nice feature that honestly I wish a few other airports or airlines would offer. I think it definitely could work.
My favorite airport in Asia would have to be probably Singapore Changi Airport. Now this one doesn't have an in-town check-in, but you can check in early at the Jewel with a lot if you're flying with a lot of airlines. Even if you're not flying with an airline that has early check-in in the Jewel, like British Airways, for example, there is an early check-in facility available separately as well. But this is just an easy airport. Everything just works. It's well connected to the city by train. You can take the MRT for about $2 into the city, regular connections. It's a silent airport. There's not blaring announcements all over the place. There's so many just little features. Like there's like the Jewel, obviously the waterfall across the road from the airport. But even within the terminal, there's a butterfly garden. There's great dining options. I think there's a cinema, outdoor terraces. Like there's and just the airport is just really nice. It's everything works.
Yeah, 100%. It's There's so many things to do out at Changi Airport as well. It's kind of like a destination in of itself. It's not just an airport, and I think Singapore have done a fantastic job with that. I think there's even a hawker center
Mm.
downstairs. It's mainly for the staff, but you can get a proper taste of Singapore at the airport. It's
Good and cheap food.
Yep. You
Hard
can't
to
really ask
beat.
for more, can you?
Yeah, I don't necessarily love the security at the gate. That's a little bit sort of divisive, but I mean overall, it's just a really easy airport. If we move a little bit to the west, if we go to the Middle East, what would your favorite airport be in the Middle East?
I I do really like Doha. I think Qatar. Obviously, they've spent a lot of money on Doha Airport. The new section with the garden, like again, it's very Singapore vibes in the regard. There's a lot to do. The airport. I like the weird bear with the lamp in it. I don't actually get the full backstory behind it, but
I
it's
don't get
cool.
it either. It's like a very large landmark that if you want to meet someone, you just say, "I'll meet next to the bear." And
Yeah,
I
exactly.
guess a lot of people photograph it.
Yeah, and you know exactly where to go, right? There's some also like some weird little quirks with Doha Airport that it just has some things um that other airports don't. Like the Al Safwa Lounge, for example, it looks like a museum. It actually has pieces from the Islamic Museum of Qatar, and the Louis Vuitton Lounge, which is a bit excessive, but it's just unique, and I think that's cool.
I don't get the Louis Vuitton lounge. Like you have to buy everything inside the lounge, but
Yes,
it's only accessible if you have like a business class ticket. But then you have to pay to get a cup of coffee in there. Like I don't get it.
yeah, and it's exorbitantly priced, but the coffee does come with a stamped LV on it, so therefore it's worth it or
Okay,
something.
this is clearly for a target market that's not me. I don't get it.
Yeah, perhaps. Yeah, um, obviously we don't quite understand that part of the travel experience, but again, it's a unique thing that obviously appeals to someone.
I guess there's some influencers that like the lounge,
Yeah,
and
influencers
maybe
do
maybe
like
even some
lounges in
people who are not
general.
influencers who like that lounge. But um, yes, I think the one thing that I would like that would make me like Doha more is if they didn't rely so much, coming back to what I said before, on bus gates. Pretty much every flight I've had in and out of Doha, there's been a bus gate. And yes, like if you're in a premium cabin, they do give you a separate and quite luxurious bus actually, but it's still a bit of a hassle. It can take like 25 minutes to drive to the plane.
Yeah, and it's not as ideal as as you'd hope, but it's pretty par for the course, I guess, in the Middle East. To be fair.
Yeah, my favorite airport in the Middle East is probably Muscat, the home airport of Oman Air. We recently joined OneWorld. That's nice, modern airport, great lounges, like not just good, like great lounges there, including the Oman Air and the Priority Pass lounges, and yeah, just works well.
So, looking at Europe, which airports do you like there?
There's a few good ones in Europe, like Munich, Zurich, Vienna. Actually, I'm quite a fan of Vienna, but my favorite would have to be Helsinki Airport. That one, it's just again, it's just easy. Everything works so well. It's connected well to the city, and I think it's just it has a kind of a very Nordic feel about it. It's quiet. It's well designed. Like it's like not too far to get to your gates. The good lounges. Uh, the security usually doesn't have much of a wait at all. And again, it just there's something about airports that are just bigger. They're designed to be bigger than what they actually need to be. Like the Helsinki airport never feels really that busy unless there's a strike on or something. But the Finnair strikes are finished now, thankfully. Um, it could be as well that the traffic is just down because of what's happened with the Russian airspace being out of service, and all that kind of stuff that's kind of impacted Finnair's business, which is the main airline there. But it is just a very nice, easy, and quiet airport.
Yeah, I do love the very Nordic feel of Helsinki Airport. It very much fits the destination. The other thing I love is how deep the metro station is. The train station.
Yes.
It's just so far underground.
Yes, when you arrive in Helsinki, if you want to take the train, which you totally should, there's the I and the P train going directly into the city center. It's really easy. Yeah, the airport station is deep. It's kind of in like a concrete bunker. You have two options to get there. You can take the lift, which is the by far the quicker option. But if you have a little bit of time, take the very deep and long escalator. You'll be spending about 4 minutes probably on the escalators, going down and down and down and down. But while you're going down, you can watch. Opera performance on the projector, or sometimes it's ballet. It rotates. It's very neat.
Yeah, I like it. It's cool, and whenever I fly through there, I take the time as much as I can. Would you count Istanbul to be in Europe?
Well, I mean, for those familiar with the geography of Istanbul, it's right on the border between Asia and Europe, right? I guess if we're talking about SAW, the secondary airport, that would be in Asia because it's technically on the eastern side of the Bosphorus. But Istanbul Airport (IST) would be in Europe, no?
I'm gonna run with it. I do really like Istanbul Airport. It's a massive operation. Obviously, Turkish Airlines flies to well, the most countries out of any other airline, I believe.
Yeah. There's a few like there's some airlines that say that they fly to the most. There's the most destinations, there's the most planes, there's the most passengers. Like there's different metrics of being the biggest or the most. Yeah, is Turkish Airlines has the most? They fly to the most unique countries, I think, is their thing.
Yeah, it's a good marketing, but it is a massive airport. It's almost too massive sometimes, and you kind of can get a bit lost in it. But it does feel very spacious, and I do love that. It that it does feel like there's a lot to just explore around, even though in a lot of cases there is just gates upon gates. The lounges are fantastic. I do think
Yeah.
that's a big factor for me. It's the Turkish Airlines lounges, especially the business class lounge. It has a golf simulator. That's a cool thing to me. Obviously
I mean,
niche, but
that's not even the only like unique feature of that lounge.
no. But 100%, it's probably definitely not the most standout feature of the lounge. But it just sticks in my mind.
we just talk about that lounge for a moment? It has the golf simulator. It has like the live cooking stations with Turkish food. You can like get it
Yep.
like freshly prepared in front of you. There's always a line for the P-Day when that comes out of the oven.
Yes.
There's lockers where you can store your stuff. There's like 30 or 40 showers.
Yep.
There is like I think last time I was there, there was an art like a Turkish art museum or something or some sort of
They have a
exhibition.
little display. Yeah. They also have the piano right in the like entrance of the lounge that's
Oh yeah.
always playing, but you can play as well, and so it's fun to listen to. And they have some nap rooms as well, which are great.
What would an airport lounge be without a grand piano?
Yeah, exactly.
And the thing that I think is probably the most cool feature is like some sort of VR flying simulator thing where you put on these VR goggles and you take like a simulated sort of where you like feel like you're flying over Istanbul, some sort
it's
of
like a
some sort of like
flyover kind
ride.
of thing.
Yeah, uh, bizarre but cool.
Yeah.
So would you say Istanbul is your favorite airport in Europe?
Yeah, the Istanbul airport is great. I do think the food prices are absolutely insane, and obviously that's out of the lounges, so that's one bad thing about
Yeah,
it.
if you're buying food from the food court, I think it's like 20, and the price is in euros for some reason. That's not the currency of Turkey, but it's like 25 euros for a Big Mac meal if you go to the McDonald's in the food court. That's more than 40 Australian dollars.
Yep, you can get some pretty good meals in a lot of airports for $40, so it's not a great
Yeah.
experience. Luckily, Turkish Airlines do feed you pretty well on board, so if you're flying with them, then it's not as bad. But I do like some other airports in Europe as well. Rome airport is just nice. I find it does things pretty well. It's obviously very busy in summer, but it's got a nice little range of food outlets and some very good Italian food, as you'd expect, but they still
It would
do it
almost
well.
be a crime if they didn't.
Yes, exactly. Zurich Airport, as you said, for the terrace and viewing platform, that's lovely. You could spend a lot of time up there watching A340s take off.
Yeah, I think we checked it out once. I think the viewing terrace. So this is an outdoor like panorama viewing terrace, which you can pay. It's like a couple of euros or something to access. It's landside, isn't it? So you don't actually have to be flying to go there.
Yes, yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
It's very easily accessible, which is great.
yeah. And with the amount of A340s flying out of Zurich, like on Swiss and Edelweiss, it's always fun watching the hairdryers like really doing their best to try and get this plane off the ground. You know the joke about the A340, right? The only reason it takes off is because of the curvature of the Earth.
Yeah,
Those are some unpowerful engines.
it does genuinely look like it won't take off. The flying pencil, it is disappearing from the skies, but it's still pretty cool to watch take off at Zurich.
One thing that I never quite understood about Rome Airport is they have this like at least in the terminal that ITA flies out of, they have these really modern gate displays like with the flight numbers on it, and all of the flight numbers have 5 digits. So, for example, if you're flying out on like QF6 to Perth, it's going to say QF00006.
I have to admit, I've never noticed that.
And I don't know I don't think it's even possible to have a flight number with more than 4 digits. Like, I don't know of any that have more than 4 digits. So, I don't know if someone decided that was some sort of good style preference, or maybe whoever designed this didn't know how flight numbers work. I've never got it.
Yeah, Italian, more style of a substance, perhaps. Sorry to any Italians listening.
Ci dispiace, amiamo l'Italia for any Italians listening.
Moving on, North America. I struggled to find an airport that really spoke to me. I don't know about you, but I don't mind Calgary Airport. I think for the similar reasons that you really like Helsinki Airport, it feels a bit bigger than the actual passenger numbers that are going through. So there seems like there's a lot of space. There's massive ceilings and really big windows. And Calgary in winter it can be quite pretty as well. They have to deal with some pretty crazy operations at times, I'm sure. But it's got a very nice sort of Canadian mountain feel, I think, and I really like that it embodies that, but the lounge situation is a bit dire, I guess, and the passenger experience can be a bit rough going through security. It's kind of funneled into one place, but I don't mind going through there, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
I think don't mind is probably about as good as it's going to get for North American airports. I've been to a lot of airports in the US and Canada and Mexico City as well. I am struggling to think of a single one that I like. I'm sorry, sorry guys, if you're listening from North America. Like Vancouver is okay, I guess. I mean, LAX as well. Like, I think departing from LAX on an international flight, I don't mind if you're flying out of TBIT, the Tom Bradley International Terminal. It has some decent lounges. That's kind of has a nice sort of international vibe in that terminal. And I love the different, just the plane spotting there, like the wide variety of international wide bodies that you can spot at LAX. As also from the In-N-Out Burger near LAX, like just watching the planes coming in from there. I mean, I also don't mind In-N-Out Burger as a place to eat, some good burgers and shakes and stuff, and like watching the wide bodies come in over the top of you as you eat that is pretty cool. And I think also there's something to be said about DFW just for there's something cool about just seeing the absolute sea of American Airlines planes, just rows upon rows of American Airlines planes at DFW. It's actually quite impressive.
Yeah, the scale of DFW is insane. I yeah, personally, I don't really like the airport at all, but it is impressive. We'll say.
Yeah, and I think if you're going to connect somewhere in the US, DFW is probably not a bad option. Like probably better than arriving in LAX and queuing up for who knows how long.
Now, I haven't been to South America, so I can't comment on any of the airports there. But you have, Matt. What's your pick?
Uh, hmm. A bit like North America, I was struggling to think of one that I really like. I've been to quite a lot of South American airports. Like Sao Paulo, Guarulhos is not terrible. If you're flying out of there internationally, Santiago in Chile is okay, I guess. I don't mind that one. Um, they did build an expansion recently, so that's kind of helped with Santiago. I think if I had to pick one, my favorite would be Brasilia in Brazil, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of Canberra Airport in the sense that it's the capital city. There's a lot of politicians and government people flying in and out of there, and they've made the airport like it's kind of nicer than it should be for an airport of its stature. It's actually a very pleasant airport. Not a lot of international service out of there, but if you happen to be going to or from Brasilia for some reason, that airport is one of the better ones, I would say. And that brings us to the last continent, Africa. Now, Wilson, I think you've only been to one African airport.
I've been to three. I've been to
Oh, sorry.
Marrakesh, Casablanca, and Cairo, and I
Oh,
would
yes, I forgot
recommend
about Morocco.
exactly none of those. Um,
Oh,
they yeah, look, they're just not great fun. I could never put them in the good category. That I'm sure there are some good airports in Africa. I just haven't been to them yet.
hmm. So Cairo Airport is not your favorite airport in Africa?
I can confirm it's not. Yeah, it's. I haven't had as bad experiences as some. You can read 1 mile at a time for more information, but um, it's not the best experience ever. That's for sure.
Yeah. I was thinking a bit about this. I've been to quite a few airports in Africa. I think Johannesburg is okay. Now, this is maybe a divisive opinion, like a bit polarizing, but I actually don't mind Johannesburg. I quite like it. In fact, like OR Tambo International Airport, the main sort of hub of Southern Africa. There, it has its issues, but it actually overall, I was there a couple of months ago. It just works reasonably well. The queues for immigration, as long as you're not arriving in the like early morning, like when all the European flights come in at around sort of 7, 8, 9 a.m. It's quick, it's fast. The airport is quite nice. There's different shops and food places. The If you're leaving on an international flight, the lounge options are actually very good, which surprised me a little bit. I flew out of there twice in September. That yeah, the lounges were well above my expectations. Even some of the priority pass lounges were really good. If you're flying out on British Airways or Qantas and you can use the British Airways lounge, that's also really good. If you have access to the slow lounge, it's really good. One of the priority pass lounges that I used had a la carte dining, which was included.
Wow.
Really nice. But yeah, it's actually for okay. I realize this airport sometimes gets a bad rap. I don't mind it. It's actually quite nice. So your overall favorite?
I think Hong Kong. I think that is coloured somewhat by nostalgia, but I just had very good experiences traveling through Hong Kong. It's very convenient. The food there is great, both in the lounge and outside in the food halls. I just I really like Hong Kong Airport.
Yeah, I think I'm struggling to find one that I enjoy more than Istanbul. Like there's there's great things about the airports I've already mentioned, but Istanbul overall it has a just an international feel. It's like you're walking into this truly when you arrive at this airport into this truly international global hub. And there's just something about it, especially if you have access to the Turkish Airlines lounges. Those are excellent.
I do love that Istanbul didn't feature on your region favorites, but it takes out your overall crown.
I mean, my method, this is not a scientific methodology. It's probably about as scientific as the Skytrax ratings, which we'll get to in a moment.
Oh dear.
uh,
No, we
but
weren't paid off by anyone. Just to clarify.
before I get to that, we've talked a little bit already about some airport lounges. What would be your favorite airport lounges?
I do love the Pier First Class Lounge in Hong Kong. Cathay Lounge you can get in with One World Emerald status, and obviously if you're flying first class. And the cabana rooms are amazing. They're like full baths and then like day beds. A la carte dining is excellent, and then just some overall good facilities. I do actually really love the Qantas First lounges across the board, with the exception of the now deceased Auckland cupboard. But the Qantas First lounges, they do. I guess not. It's not the basics, but they do things very consistently and do that well. The view from the Sydney First Lounge of the Sydney skyline is really cool
Yeah.
as well. The Qatar Airways Al Marjan Lounge in Doha. I like the original one over the garden a bit more. I love the big water feature and then the separate restaurant section. That's a personal preference, but both are fantastic, especially for a business class lounge as well.
Mm.
But yeah, what about your selection?
Yeah, I can think of three that I really, really love. Actually, four if you include the Qantas First Lounge, but that's on your list, so I can't steal that. We've talked about two already: the Al Safwa First Class Lounge in Doha, the Qatar Airways. If you're flying Qatar Airways First Class, excellent. Like it doesn't even feel like you're in an airport. And the Turkish Airlines lounges in Istanbul, great as well. I'm gonna throw in another one: the Finnair Platinum Wing at Helsinki. This is the non-Schengen lounge if you have One World Emerald status. Excellent a la carte dining with things like reindeer burger and like there's a bar, like fully stocked bar. There's also a sauna. And like I've when I visited there, the guy at the desk was encouraging me to take in a glass of whiskey or something to really round out the experience. It's really nice. Again, like it's a mixed sauna. You got to be, I guess, covered, but like there, it's probably the only. I can't think of any other airport lounge where you can use a sauna before your flight.
No, I can't think of any either, and it really reinforces the you are in Finland vibe. It like flows through from the airport to the lounge, which is really cool. I think.
Yeah, I really like how that airport in Finnair as well really embraces that kind of Nordic feel. It's really nice. So those are our picks. I thought it would be worth mentioning. Skytrax recently released its list of their sort of top airports, and so they basically have a list of top overall airports, and then they also award specific titles to airports, like best airport staff and things like that. Um, I'll just read the list. The top 10, and you can let me know if you agree agree with Skytrax's findings. So Skytrax, according to Skytrax, the top 10 airports overall in the world in 2025 were firstly Singapore, second place Doha, third Tokyo Haneda, fourth Seoul Incheon, then Tokyo Narita, Hong Kong, Paris, Rome, Munich, and Zurich. So we've talked already about actually a lot of these airports. Do you think they've got it right, Wilson?
I do think that most of these airports are decent airports at least. I cannot understand why Paris is there. It's not a fun airport to be in. It's frankly it's a mess. Every time I've been through there, it's not well coordinated. In my mind, it's not well designed. There's terminals left, right, and center.
Yeah, Charles de Gaulle is a bit of a rogue one. Number 4, Seoul Incheon.
I probably wouldn't put Seoul fourth. That's for sure. I find it very it works. I wouldn't say it works like extremely well though, because security lines are often really long because they funnel you into like very constrained spaces, and also there's no character there. There's no soul, as it were.
It's
I'll see myself
soulless
out.
airport.
Yeah, we probably shouldn't quit our day jobs quite yet.
But yes, I agree with you. It is a bit sterile.
Yeah, it's a bit boring.
It's kind of the opposite of Rome, like substance over style.
Yeah, a bit. Also, the airport lounges at Seoul are not good. Pretty much across
they're
the
terrible.
board, which is surprising considering there's two very, very large carriers there, both in alliances. There's Korean Air and SkyTeam, and Asiana at the moment, at least, in Star Alliance, and then also is a pretty important hub for oneworld flights. So you would think that lounges are important.
I saw recently that the oneworld lounge at Seoul Incheon won a prize. I can't remember who gave it this prize, but it was rated the best business class lounge in Asia.
I'm not 100% convinced it's the best business class lounge in Seoul. And this has to compete. This lounge is competing against the likes of Qatar Airways premium lounges in Bangkok and Singapore, your Cathay lounges in Hong Kong, even the Qantas Business Lounge in Singapore, I would say is better. So,
yes, I have no idea how they came to that finding, but clearly they. I wonder how much OneWorld paid for that.
Yeah. We'll say there was some alternate criteria than perhaps what we were thinking.
Not that Skytrax would ever do this.
No, of course.
Of course. And if we look at some of the other winners for 2025 on the Skytrax list, so Skytrax in Australia, Skytrax has given Melbourne Airport the winner of Best Airport in Australia and Pacific. Adelaide is, according to Skytrax, the best regional airport and the cleanest airport in Australia and Pacific. Brisbane Airport apparently has the best airport staff, Australia and Pacific, and the Pullman Brisbane Airport is the best airport hotel in Australia and Pacific. Fair?
Melbourne, they must have been delivered straight to the airport by chauffeur at about 5 a.m. when there was no traffic, because otherwise that experience is not fun. Maybe I'm being a bit harsh on Melbourne, but I don't like the Skybus, and I don't like paying $80 for an Uber from the CBD either.
Fair.
So but Melbourne Airport is actually not too bad. It is quite easy, I guess, to move between terminals as well, which is nice.
Yeah, that's a plus over Sydney, I guess. And then some of the other ones that stood out to me on the Skytrax winners list for this year, Cape Town was rated best airport in Africa, which is probably fair. It's a pretty good airport. Almaty's new Terminal 2, I think I've talked about Almaty's old international terminal on a previous episode of this podcast. There is a brand new international terminal in Almaty. This is in Kazakhstan. It was rated the world's best new terminal. I flew out of there in August, and I would probably agree it was actually a huge improvement and quite nice. Berlin was rated most improved, Istanbul world's most family-friendly airport, and Singapore best airport dining and best washrooms.
I'm not 100% sure on Istanbul being the most family-friendly airport when, as you say, you're spending $40 for a Big Mac meal. That's going to rack up a pretty hefty dining bill for a family. there's a few other issues, I guess, with Istanbul.
They do have the buggies. Like if you need to travel a long way to your gate and you're elderly or you have young children or whatever, there's like the complimentary buggy service
that is true.
Give you a ride.
Yeah, and there is plenty, I guess, to look at Istanbul Airport. You're not going to get bored, which is nice.
And just before we wrap up this discussion, is there any other sort of memorable or distinct features, unique features at different airports that have stood out to you as being memorable?
I think I've mentioned pretty much all of them already. I love the Sky Bridge at Hong Kong, and I'm very glad that Cathay reopened the Bridge Lounge as well. But just being able to plane spot off that is really cool, and watching planes go underneath you, I don't know, that's pretty cool. And Doha as well, the Garden, the Bear, the Louis Vuitton Lounge, amongst other things, just it kind of stands out.
Yeah, I think for me the one thing that I haven't mentioned yet, which I thought was kind of cool, and I'm not sure how I feel about it, but also still cool. In Tallinn's airport, Tallinn that's in Estonia. There is a gym, like a public gym that anyone can just go and use the gym equipment while they wait for their flight, with a view out to the airfield.
That's pretty cool. I hope there's
no
showers
though.
No showers. That's less cool. I would not envy sitting next to someone who has just finished a nice long workout at the Tallinn gym before getting on their flight.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but cool. I guess if you have lounge access and so you use the gym, then go up to the lounge and have a shower, then it could work, I guess. Which I'm sure everyone is going to do. Do you agree with our favourites, or do you have your own favourite airports? Let us know on the Australian Frequent Flyer Forum. We'll have a link in the show notes to a discussion thread where you can let everyone know what your favourite airport is and why. Want to stay up to date between podcasts with the latest Frequent Flyer news and deals? Subscribe to the Australian Frequent Flyer Gazette to get our newsletter twice a week, every Monday and Thursday, direct into your inbox for free with all of the latest information so you don't miss anything in between our episodes. To subscribe to the Gazette, go to the Australian Frequent Flyer website or click on the link in the show notes. Well, before we go, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to all of the AFF members who've been writing excellent trip reports. The Trip Reports forum on AFF has been a long favourite. It's probably one of the best, in my opinion, best forums on AFF. There is some excellent trip reports on there, but like in the last couple of months, we've really seen some excellent ones, and they're really interesting, good reads. You can go and have a read for yourself, see people's travel tales and photos. You can also start your own trip report if you would like, and you can share your trips with the AFF community. There's been some really great ones. Thanks to everyone who's contributed to that forum, and keep an eye out as well for our monthly trip report of the month winners. We will also have a trip report of the year at the end of this year, and the winner of that will get a prize. But yeah, it's been really great to see. So thanks to everyone who's been sharing some really interesting trip reports. And that brings us to the end of this episode of Travel Pointers. For more information about anything we've discussed today, have a look at the show notes, and we'll see you again next time. Happy flying.
Thanks for listening.